When I logged into my retirement account that Tuesday morning, I stared at the balance for a full minute, my coffee growing cold in my hand. $12,347. It should have been $97,500. I refreshed the page 3 times. The number didn't change. My jaw tightened as I scrolled through the transaction history. 17 unauthorized transfers over the past 4 months, each one between $3,000 and $7,500, all sent to an account I didn't recognize. My hands weren't shaking. They were steady as stone. After 30 years teaching cybersecurity to FBI agents, I knew exactly what I was looking at. This wasn't a banking error. This was theft. And I had a pretty good idea who was responsible. My name is Robert Harrison. I'm 67 years old, and until that moment, I thought I had raised my daughter Sarah right. For 43 years, I'd worked as an electrical engineer, the last 15 as a cybersecurity consultant for federal law enforcement. I'd trained agents how to track digital criminals, how to follow money trails, how to build airtight cases. I'd retired 3 years ago with a solid nest egg, enough to live comfortably and help my daughter when she needed it. And she had needed it. A lot. Sarah married Trevor Matheson 5 years ago. I'd had reservations from the start. Trevor was a finance guy, always talking about opportunities and investments with that slick smile that never quite reached his eyes. He worked at a mid-tier investment firm in Denver, drove a leased BMW, and wore suits that cost more than my monthly expenses. But Sarah loved him, and I wanted her happy. So I welcomed him into the family. The red flags started small. A year after the wedding, Trevor approached me with a can't-miss investment opportunity, some tech startup that needed capital. He was animated, gesturing with his wine glass at our family dinner. "Robert," he said, leaning forward with that practiced enthusiasm, "this is the kind of ground floor opportunity that creates wealth. I'm talking about turning 50,000 into $500,000 in 2 years." I'd set down my fork and looked at him steadily. "Trevor, I appreciate you thinking of me, but I'm conservative with my retirement funds. I've seen too many sure things collapse." His smile had tightened just slightly. "Of course. I understand. You're from a different generation, more risk-averse." That phrase, different generation, would become his favorite weapon. Over the next 3 years, I gave them $47,800. I kept meticulous records because that's who I am. $8,000 for their down payment when they bought the house. $12,500 when Trevor's temporary cash flow issue threatened their mortgage. $5,300 for Sarah's medical bills when her insurance didn't cover everything. $18,000 in various emergencies that always seemed to come with urgent phone calls and tearful explanations. And another $4,000 for what Trevor called a bridge loan for a business deal that was definitely happening. I never asked for the money back. Sarah was my only child. Her mother, my wife Linda, had died of cancer 8 years ago. Sarah was all I had left, and I would have given her everything if she needed it. But something shifted about 6 months ago. The requests became demands. The gratitude disappeared. And Trevor stopped pretending to respect me. It started at Sarah's birthday dinner. I'd offered to take them to her favorite restaurant, a nice Italian place in downtown Denver. During the meal, I'd mentioned reading an article about cryptocurrency scams. "It's fascinating how sophisticated these operations are," I said, cutting my chicken. "They're targeting retirement accounts now, using social engineering tactics to—" "Dad," Sarah interrupted, her voice tight, "can we not talk about your FBI stuff tonight? It's my birthday." Trevor had smirked into his wine glass. "Robert, no offense, but cybersecurity has changed a lot since you retired. What you learned back in the day isn't really relevant anymore." I'd looked at him across the table. His expression was dismissive, almost pitying. "I retired 3 years ago, Trevor, not 30. Sure, he waved his hand. "I'm just saying, the digital landscape evolves fast. At your age, it's hard to keep up." At your age, there it was again. Sarah said nothing. She just looked down at her plate. I paid for dinner. I drove home alone. And I wondered when I'd become invisible to my own daughter. The requests continued. In March, Trevor called asking to borrow my credit card information for a business verification that his bank required. I declined. He'd laughed, but it sounded forced. Come on, Robert. It's just a formality. You don't trust your own family? Trevor, I trust you to use your own credit card for your own business. The line went quiet for a moment. When he spoke again, his voice was cold. You know, Sarah and I have been talking. We're worried about you. You're getting forgetful, making bad decisions. Maybe it's time to think about power of attorney, for your protection. My hand had tightened on the phone. I appreciate your concern. I'm fine. Are you, though? Because from where we're sitting, you seem confused, paranoid even. I'd ended the call. 2 weeks later, I caught him in my home office. I'd come back from my morning walk early. I'd forgotten my phone. The front door was unlocked, which was odd. I'd climbed the stairs quietly, and there he was, sitting at my desk, my laptop open in front of him. He'd jumped when I appeared in the doorway. Robert? Jesus, you scared me. He laughed, but his face was pale. Sarah asked me to grab some old family photos from your computer for a project she's working on. I'd walked slowly into the room. My laptop was open to my banking homepage, the password field empty. Family photos are in the cloud. You know that. Right, yeah, I must have gotten confused. He stood quickly, smoothing his shirt. Anyway, I should get going. Work calls. He brushed past me, and I listened to his footsteps on the stairs, the front door closing. I sat down at my desk and checked my laptop's access logs, a habit from my FBI days. He'd tried to access my password manager. Unsuccessfully, thank God. But he'd tried. That was 5 months ago. I'd changed all my passwords that night, added two-factor authentication to everything. I thought I'd secured everything. I thought wrong. Now, staring at my depleted retirement account, I understood. Somehow he'd gotten access anyway. The transfers had started right after his little photo expedition. My mind ran through the possibilities. Keylogger? Shoulder surfing? Did he find my backup password list? I'd been so careful. I needed to think like I'd taught those agents to think, methodically, logically, emotionally detached. I grabbed my notebook and started documenting everything. Every transaction date, every amount. I took screenshots. I downloaded statements. I compiled a timeline. Then I called the bank. First National Security. This is Marcus. How can I help you today? This is Robert Harrison, account number 4487-3392. I need to report unauthorized transactions on my retirement account. I'm sorry to hear that, Mr. Harrison. Let me pull up your account. Can you verify your date of birth and the last 4 digits of your social? I provided the information. Okay, I'm looking at your account now. Can you tell me which transactions you didn't authorize? 17 transfers over the past 4 months. Total of $85,153. There was a pause. I'm seeing those transfers, sir. However, they were all authorized through your online banking portal using your username and password. They were also verified through the phone number on file. My stomach dropped. What phone number? Let me see. Ending in 4739. That wasn't my number. My number ended in 2861. That's not my phone number. Oh, another pause. When was it changed? I didn't change it. I see. Well, according to our records, it was updated on September 18th through our online portal using your credentials. September 19th, the day after Trevor was in my office. Marcus, I need to speak with your fraud department immediately. Of course, sir. I'm going to transfer you now. Please hold. The hold music was classical, which felt grotesquely inappropriate. I was looking at my life savings being stolen, and I was listening to Mozart. Fraud department, this is Jennifer. I went through everything again. Jennifer was patient, professional. She took notes, she asked questions, she explained the process. Mr. Harrison will need to open a formal investigation. That typically takes 14 to 21 business days. In the meantime, I'm putting a freeze on all external transfers from your account. You'll need to file a police report as well. Do you have any idea who might have accessed your account? I hesitated. This was the moment. Say his name and there's no going back. The investigation would reveal everything. Sarah would know I suspected Trevor. It would destroy what was left of our relationship. But $85,000 was gone. My retirement, my security, my future. Yes, I said. I have a very good idea. After I hung up with the bank, I sat in my office for a long time. The morning sun streamed through the window, illuminating the degrees on my wall. Bachelor's in electrical engineering, master's in computer science, certificates from FBI training programs, commendations from cases I'd helped solve. I wasn't some confused old man. I was a professional who'd spent decades hunting people who did exactly what Trevor had done. My phone rang. Sarah. "Hey, Dad." Her voice was bright, artificially so. "Trevor and I were thinking about coming by tonight. We could grab dinner?" They were coming here tonight. Trevor would sit at my table, eat my food, and look me in the eye. And I would watch him, study him, gather information. Because that's what I did. I built cases, airtight, unbreakable cases, and Trevor Matheson had no idea who he was really dealing with. I spent the afternoon preparing. First, I called my old friend Paul Chen. Paul had retired from the FBI 2 years before I did. We'd worked dozens of cases together, and he was one of the best financial crimes investigators I'd ever known. "Robert, it's been too long. How's retirement treating you?" "Paul, I need a favor. A professional favor." His tone shifted immediately. "What's going on?" I told him everything. The missing money, Trevor, the changed phone number. He listened without interrupting. "Jesus, Robert, I'm sorry. This is textbook elder financial abuse. I know. I need help documenting this properly. Chain of evidence, professional investigation. I want this airtight." "You thinking criminal charges?" "I'm thinking whatever it takes to get my money back and put him away." "Okay, I know a good private investigator, former Secret Service. She specializes in financial crimes. Can I give her your number?" "Please." "And Robert? Be careful. If Trevor realizes you're onto him, he might escalate. These situations can get dangerous. I spent 30 years teaching people how to handle dangerous situations. I'll be fine." But as I hung up, I felt a cold certainty settle in my chest. Paul was right. Trevor had already proven he was willing to steal from me. What else was he willing to do? I spent the next few hours setting up. I activated the security cameras I'd installed after Linda died. I'd wanted to monitor the house when I traveled. I positioned my phone on my bookshelf with the voice recorder app running. I made sure every conversation tonight would be documented. At 6:45, I heard a car pull into my driveway. I watched through the window as Trevor got out of his BMW, adjusted his suit jacket, and smiled. That same slick smile. Sarah emerged from the passenger side, carrying bags of takeout. I opened the door before they could knock. "Dad," Sarah hugged me. She smelled like the lavender perfume Linda used to wear. My chest ached. Come in, come in." I stepped aside. Trevor extended his hand. "Robert, good to see you." I shook it. His grip was firm, confident, the grip of a man who thought he was winning. "Trevor, thanks for bringing dinner. We settled at the dining table." Sarah unpacked the Thai food, chattering about her work, about their recent weekend trip to Aspen, about their plans to renovate their kitchen. Trevor was quiet, watching me with those calculating eyes. "So, Dad," Sarah said, spooning pad thai onto her plate, "how have you been? We haven't seen you much lately." "I've been fine, keeping busy." "Doing what?" Trevor asked, his tone casual. "Besides your morning walks?" "Reading, research, staying sharp." "That's good," Sarah said. "It's important to stay mentally active at your age." "At your age." Again. "Actually," I said, setting down my fork, "I've been reviewing my finances. Retirement planning, making sure everything is in order." Trevor's hand paused, his fork halfway to his mouth, just for a second. Then he continued eating. "That's smart. Financial planning is crucial." "Yes. In fact, I noticed something interesting when I checked my retirement account this morning." The room got very quiet. Sarah looked between us, confused. Trevor's expression was perfectly neutral. "Oh," he said, "what's that?" "There have been some unexpected transfers. Significant ones." "Transfers?" Sarah frowned. "Dad, are you sure you didn't make them? You've been a little forgetful lately. Remember when you couldn't find your car keys last month?" I looked at my daughter. She genuinely believed what she was saying. Trevor had been working on her, planting seeds. "I found those keys. They were in my jacket pocket, where I always put them." "Sure, but..." Sarah, Trevor interrupted gently, putting his hand on hers. Maybe we should talk about this. Your dad's getting older. It's natural for cognitive decline to... My cognition is fine, Trevor. I kept my voice level, calm. And I didn't make those transfers. He met my eyes. For the first time, I saw something dangerous there, something cold. Then maybe it's fraud, he said slowly. You should call the bank. File a report. I already did. They're investigating. Good, he smiled. Identity theft is serious. These criminals are getting sophisticated. They target elderly people especially, people who aren't as tech-savvy. I felt anger rise in my chest, but I pushed it down. Not yet. I needed more. The bank said the transfers were made through my online portal, using my credentials. See? Sarah said, her voice rising with worry. Dad, you need to be more careful with your passwords. Do you write them down? Someone could have found them. I don't write them down. Then how do you remember them all? Trevor asked. At your age, memory becomes... At my age, I interrupted, I have more experience with cybersecurity than most people will ever have. I trained FBI agents, Trevor. I think I can manage my own passwords. The air got thick. Trevor's smile finally dropped. No one's attacking you, Robert, he said quietly. We're trying to help. But you're being defensive, which honestly makes us more concerned. This kind of paranoia can be a sign of... I'm not paranoid. I stood up, walked to my office, and returned with my laptop. I opened it, pulled up my bank statements, and turned the screen toward them. I'm informed. These 17 transfers, $85,153 total, all made in the past 4 months. Tell me, Trevor, where do you think this money went? Sarah stared at the screen, her face pale. Dad, that's almost all your retirement savings. Yes, but who would... She trailed off, and I saw it, the moment the thought entered her mind, the moment she looked at her husband. Trevor's expression was ice. Are you seriously suggesting I had something to do with this, after everything we've done for you? Everything you've done for me? Yes, checking on you, making sure you're okay, worrying about you, and this is the thanks we get? Accusations? I haven't accused anyone. I've stated facts. No, Trevor stood, his voice getting louder. You're implying. You're sitting here acting like I'm some criminal, when really you're a confused old man who probably made these transfers yourself and forgot about them. Trevor, Sarah gasped. What? It's true. This is exactly what we were worried about. This paranoia, these delusions. I stayed seated, my hands folded calmly on the table. I have records of every legitimate expense, every dollar I've given you both, $47,800 over 3 years. I have receipts, bank transfers, documentation. These 17 transactions are not in my records because I didn't make them. Trevor's face was red now. You're keeping tabs on us? Documenting money you gave your own daughter? What kind of father does that? The kind who worked in federal law enforcement for 30 years. Documentation is what I do. This is insane. Trevor grabbed his car keys. Sarah, we're leaving. Your father clearly needs professional help. Wait, Sarah's voice was small. She was still staring at the laptop screen. Trevor, where did this money go? Can we see the receiving account? Sarah, don't encourage this. Where did it go? Her voice was stronger now. I pulled up the transaction details. The receiving account number was partially visible. Trevor went very still. I don't recognize that account, Sarah said quietly. That's because it's probably the scammer's account, Trevor said quickly. Whoever stole his information probably created a dummy account. That's how these things work. Actually, I said, that's not how these things work. The bank flagged these as authorized transactions, made with my credentials, from my IP address, or close to it. What are you saying? Sarah stood now, her voice shaking. I looked at my daughter, at the woman I'd raised alone after Linda died, at the child I'd read bedtime stories to, taught to ride a bike, walk down the aisle, and I told her the truth. I'm saying someone who had physical access to my computer, who knew my routines, who had the opportunity to steal my information, made these transfers. I'm saying I'm going to find out who, and when I do, I'm pressing charges. Trevor's face was a mask now, completely blank. Let's go, Sarah. Trevor, we should... Now! They left. I watched through the window as Trevor practically dragged Sarah to the car. They sat there for a moment, and I could see them arguing. Sarah was crying. Trevor was gesturing angrily. Then they drove away. I sat down at my dining table, surrounded by cold Thai food, and finally let myself feel it. The betrayal, the grief, the rage. My phone buzzed, a text from an unknown number. Robert Harrison? This is Diana Martinez, PI. Paul Chen gave me your info. I can meet tomorrow 10 a.m. I've already started preliminary research based on what Paul told me. You're going to want to see what I found. I texted back, I'll be there. Send me the address. Then I walked to my office and opened a new folder on my laptop. I titled it Case File Trevor Matheson. I'd built hundreds of case files in my career. I knew exactly what I needed. Documentation, timeline, evidence, witnesses, financial records, digital forensics. Trevor thought he was smart. He thought he'd targeted a confused old man who wouldn't fight back. He was wrong on both counts. I wasn't confused, I was calculating. And I wasn't old, I was experienced. There's a difference. He was about to learn it. So far, Robert Harrison discovered $85,000 missing from his retirement account. After confronting his son-in-law Trevor at dinner, tensions exploded. Trevor tried to gaslight him, calling him senile and confused. Sarah seemed torn between her father and husband. Now, Robert is building a case with the help of a private investigator. The war has begun. I didn't sleep that night. I sat in my office until 3 a.m. compiling every piece of evidence I had. Bank statements, email records, text message screenshots, the security camera footage of Trevor in my office. By the time dawn broke over Denver, I had a 20-page preliminary report. At 9:45 a.m., I drove to the address Diana Martinez had sent me. It was a small office building in downtown Denver, 3rd floor. The door read, Martinez Investigations, Financial Crimes and Asset Recovery. I knocked. Come in. Diana Martinez was in her mid-40s with sharp dark eyes and the kind of presence that commanded respect. Former Secret Service, Paul had said. I could see it in the way she moved. Efficient, alert, professional. Mr. Harrison, she stood and extended her hand. Diana Martinez. Please sit. Her office was organized chaos, 3 monitors on her desk, whiteboards covered with timelines and flowcharts, file folders stacked neatly. This was someone who understood investigations. Paul speaks highly of you, she said, settling into her chair. He says you're one of the best cybersecurity minds he's ever worked with. Paul's generous, but I appreciate the referral. Before we start, I need to be clear about something. What I'm about to show you is going to be difficult. Are you prepared for that? My jaw tightened. Show me. She turned one of her monitors toward me. I ran a preliminary financial background check on Trevor Matheson. It took me about 4 hours. What I found was extensive. The screen showed a credit report, Trevor's credit report. It was a sea of red. He's $127,000 in debt, Diana said, her voice matter-of-fact. Credit cards maxed out, personal loans in default. And here's the interesting part. She clicked to another screen. Most of this debt was accumulated in the past 18 months. What was he buying? He wasn't buying. He was gambling. She pulled up another document, bank statements, casino transactions, online gambling sites. The amounts made my stomach drop. $3,000 here, $5,000 there, sometimes $10,000 in a single night. Black Creek Casino mostly, Diana continued, but also online poker sites, sports betting apps. He's been hemorrhaging money, and about 6 months ago, the hemorrhaging accelerated. 6 months ago, right when the requests for money had turned to demands. There's more. She clicked to another screen. 3 months ago, Trevor took out a $50,000 personal loan from a predatory lending company. Interest rate of 28%. When you see terms like that, you know someone's desperate. Traditional banks had already turned him down. Jesus. It gets worse. 2 months ago, he missed his first payment on that loan. These companies don't mess around. They start with threatening calls. Then they escalate. She looked at me directly. Your son-in-law is in serious trouble, and based on the timeline, he started stealing from you right around the time the loan sharks started calling. I sat back in my chair. The pieces were falling into place. He needed quick money, large amounts, and I was the easy target. You were the perfect target. Older, living alone, trusting, and with substantial retirement savings. She pulled up my bank account records. I'd given her access that morning. He was systematic about it. Never took the same amount twice, varied the timing, tried to make it look random. If you weren't someone who checked your accounts regularly, you might not have noticed for months. But I did notice. Yes, and that's when things are going to get dangerous for you. I leaned forward. What do you mean? Diana's expression was grave. Last night, after your confrontation, I set up monitoring on Trevor's phone and email. It's not admissible in court. I'm being honest with you about that. But it gives us intelligence, and what I saw concerned me. She turned another monitor. Email exchanges. The sender was Trevor. The recipient was someone named Marcus Delgado. Who's Marcus Delgado? The loan shark. Well, officially he's a private lender, but let's call it what it is. She scrolled through the emails. Look at this exchange from last night, 2:47 a.m., from Trevor Matheson to Marcus Delgado, subject, RE, payment status. Marcus, I know I'm behind. I'm working on it. I have access to funds, but there's a complication. Give me one more week. I can get you $50,000 from Marcus Delgado to Trevor Matheson. Subject RE, payment status. You said that 2 weeks ago. My patience has limits. Handle your complication or I'll handle it for you. You have until Friday. I felt my blood run cold. He's planning to steal more. Yes. But there's a problem. You've frozen your accounts, changed your passwords, put up walls, so he needs another strategy. What strategy? Diana hesitated. Then she clicked to another document. This morning, Trevor researched declaring someone mentally incompetent in Colorado. He also Googled emergency power of attorney and elder care facilities Denver. The room seemed to tilt. He's going to try to have me declared incompetent. It fits the pattern. He's already been planting seeds, calling you senile, confused, forgetful. If he can get Sarah to sign off on an emergency competency evaluation, if he can find the right doctor, he might be able to freeze your assets long enough to access them as your legal guardian. That's insane. I'm completely competent. You and I know that. But Trevor's desperate. Desperate people do desperate things. She closed the laptop and looked at me directly. Robert, I've worked financial elder abuse cases for 15 years. This is textbook, but it's also escalating faster than usual. The gambling debt, the loan sharks, the timeline pressure. These are all factors that could push Trevor to do something extreme. Like what? Like fraud, forgery, or worse. The word hung in the air. Worse. You think he'd hurt me? I think he's $127,000 in debt to dangerous people. I think he's stolen $85,000 from his father-in-law and got caught. I think he's cornered, and cornered animals are unpredictable. I processed this. 30 years in law enforcement had taught me she was right. The most dangerous criminals were the desperate ones. So what do I do? Diana pulled out a yellow legal pad. We build an airtight case. We document everything. We gather evidence that will stand up in court. And we do it fast. She started writing. First, I need you to file a formal police report, not just with the bank, with the Denver PD Financial Crimes Division. Done. I'm going there this afternoon. Good. Second, we need to secure your assets, not just freeze them, actually protect them legally. I have a lawyer I work with, estate planning specialist. She can help you set up a trust, move your assets into protected accounts that Trevor can't touch, even if he somehow gets power of attorney. Okay. Third, I need permission to do deep surveillance. I'll track his movements, his communications, his financial transactions. The goal is to catch him in the act of attempting fraud, or better yet, catch him admitting to the theft. How do we do that? She smiled slightly. That's where it gets creative. We need to make him think he's winning. We need to give him an opportunity, a controlled opportunity, where he'll incriminate himself, ideally on camera or audio recording. A sting operation. Exactly. You're FBI trained. You know how this works. I did. I'd participated in dozens of stings, but I'd never been the victim before. What did you have in mind? I'm still working that out. But the key is this. We need Trevor to believe you're vulnerable. that your defenses are down, that he has a window of opportunity. She tapped her pen on the pad. Has Sarah contacted you since last night? No. She will. She's probably confused, conflicted. Part of her suspects Trevor, but part of her wants to believe him. He'll work on her. Convince her that you're the problem, that you need help. She'll reach out, and when she does, you need to play along. Play along how? Act confused, uncertain, maybe even apologetic for accusing him. Make them think they're managing you successfully. Meanwhile, we'll be watching everything. It felt wrong, lying to Sarah, but what choice did I have? All right. One more thing. Diana's expression turned serious. Be careful. Vary your routines. Install a security system if you haven't already. Don't eat or drink anything Trevor gives you. I know that sounds paranoid, but it doesn't sound paranoid. It sounds smart. She nodded. Paul said you were the real deal. I can see why. We spent the next 2 hours going through every detail. Diana had already pulled Trevor's financial records, his employment history, even his social media. The picture that emerged was damning. A man living far beyond his means, designer clothes on a mid-tier salary, expensive dinners, luxury trips, all funded by credit cards and loans, and when those ran dry, by theft. One question, I said as I prepared to leave. How did he actually get my passwords? I'm careful. I use encrypted password managers, two-factor authentication. Diana pulled up another file. I've been analyzing your security logs. On September 18th, at 2:37 p.m., someone installed a keylogger on your laptop. It's sophisticated, nearly invisible. It captured every keystroke you made for 3 weeks before you caught Trevor in your office and changed your passwords. My hands clenched. He installed malware on my computer. Yes, and he used it to steal your banking credentials, your phone company login, which he used to change your registered phone number, and probably other sensitive information. We're going to extract that keylogger and preserve it as evidence. It's a federal crime, by the way. Computer fraud and abuse carries serious prison time. Good. As I left her office, my phone buzzed. Sarah. Dad, can we talk? I'm worried about you. Trevor and I want to help. Diana had said this would happen. I took a breath and typed back. I'm sorry about last night. I've been stressed. Maybe you're right. Maybe I should get checked out. Can we meet? The response came within seconds. Yes. How about tomorrow? We can go to lunch and talk about everything. Trevor knows a good doctor who specializes in memory issues. There it was, the trap being set. They thought I was folding, thought I was accepting their narrative. I texted back, that sounds good. Thank you for caring. Then I forwarded the exchange to Diana with a single word. Starting. Her response, perfect. I'll be ready. That afternoon, I went to the Denver Police Department. Detective Sarah Yates in financial crimes listened to my story with increasing concern. I showed her everything, the bank statements, the security footage, Diana's preliminary findings, the keylogger evidence. Mr. Harrison, she said when I finished, this is one of the most well-documented elder abuse cases I've seen. Usually victims don't have this kind of evidence. I spent 30 years teaching federal agents how to build cases. I know what you need, she smiled slightly. That's clear. Okay, here's what happens next. We'll open a formal investigation. I'll get warrants for Trevor's financial records, phone records. We'll coordinate with your PI, Diana Martinez, you said. I've worked with her before. She's excellent. How long does this take? Depends. If we can catch him attempting further fraud, we can move fast. If it's just the past theft, we need to build the case carefully. Financial crimes are complex. Defense attorneys love to muddy the water. We need this airtight. She looked at me seriously. You understand this might destroy your relationship with your daughter? My daughter married a man who stole my retirement and tried to gaslight me into thinking I was senile. That relationship was destroyed the moment he installed that keylogger. She nodded. Fair enough. Be careful, Mr. Harrison, and stay in touch. Daily updates. Will do. I drove home as the sun set over the Rockies, painting the sky in shades of orange and purple. Linda had loved these sunsets. We'd sit on our back deck, her hand in mine, and watch the day end. She'd been gone 8 years, but I still felt her absence like a physical ache. I hope I'm doing the right thing, I said to the empty car, to her memory. I hope you'd understand. My phone rang. Unknown number. I answered. Robert Harrison? Speaking. This is Marcus Delgado. I think we should talk about Trevor Matheson. My blood went cold. The loan shark. How did you get this number? Trevor gave it to me, before he realized you'd caught him. See, Trevor owes me a lot of money, and he told me all about his rich father-in-law with the fat retirement account. Said you were easy pickings. Old and confused, that's how he described you. I pulled over to the side of the road. What do you want, Mr. Delgado? I want my money. Trevor says he can't get it now because you've locked him out. That's a problem for me. So I'm calling to suggest an arrangement. I'm not giving you money that Trevor stole from me. He laughed. It was not a pleasant sound. You misunderstand. I don't want your money. I want Trevor to pay what he owes. But if he can't do that, I need to know who's responsible for that failure. Is it you? Or is it him? It's him. He's a thief and a liar. See, that's what I thought. Which means Trevor and I are going to have a more serious conversation. I wanted to check with you first, though. Professional courtesy. I don't like messing with innocent parties. I appreciate that, Mr. Delgado. But I should tell you, I've filed a police report. Trevor is under investigation. You might want to distance yourself. Oh, I'm aware. That's why I'm having this conversation. When the cops come around asking about Trevor's debts, I want to be able to say I tried to handle this the legitimate way, that I reached out to you, that you confirmed Trevor's a deadbeat. He paused. You seem like a smart man, Mr. Harrison, smarter than Trevor gave you credit for. That keylogger trick was clever, by the way. You knew about that. Trevor bragged about it, thought he was so smart. My father-in-law's an old FBI guy, but I'm smarter. That's what he said. I told him he was an idiot. FBI guys don't get stupid just because they retire. Another pause. Watch yourself. Trevor's getting desperate. Desperate people. Is that a threat? It's a warning. From one professional to another. I don't want collateral damage. He hung up. I sat there in my car, hands shaking, not from fear, but from rage. Trevor had bragged about stealing from me, had called me old and confused to a loan shark, had laughed about installing malware on my computer. I called Diana. Marcus Delgado just called me. What? When? 2 minutes ago. I repeated the entire conversation. Okay, this is actually good. It confirms Trevor's debt story. It also means Delgado is distancing himself from Trevor, which means Trevor's really in trouble. The loan shark wants no part of this anymore. He warned me Trevor might get violent. Yes, which is why you need to be very, very careful. Look, I'm fast-tracking the surveillance. By tomorrow morning, I'll have eyes on Trevor 24/7. And Robert, I'm also going to have someone watching your house. You think that's necessary? A man who's stolen $85,000, who's being hunted by loan sharks, who's facing federal charges, and who's just been cut off from his only source of money? Yes, I think it's necessary. That night, I barely slept again. Every sound made me alert. Every car that drove past made me check the window. I kept my phone next to my bed. I put a chair under my doorknob. At 2:17 a.m., my security system alert went off. Someone was on my property. I grabbed my phone and checked the camera feeds. A figure in dark clothing was walking around my house, testing windows, checking doors. I couldn't see the face clearly, but I recognized the build, the walk, Trevor. My hand hovered over the 911 button. Then I saw him pull out his phone, take photos of my house, my windows, my locks. He was casing the place, planning something. I hit record on my security system, captured every frame. Then I texted Diana. Trevor's outside my house, right now, casing it. Her response was immediate. I see him. I have an agent nearby. Do not confront him. Let him leave. This is evidence. I watched as Trevor circled my entire property. He tried my back door, checked my garage, then he got back in his car, parked 2 blocks away, and drove off. My phone rang. Diana, are you okay? I'm fine. He didn't try to break in, just reconnaissance. We have it all on film. This is good, Robert. Very good. It shows consciousness of guilt. It shows planning. It adds stalking to the charges." She paused. "But it also confirms my fear." "He's escalating. Tomorrow when you meet with him and Sarah, you need to be somewhere public, somewhere safe. And I need you wired." "Wired? Audio recording device hidden? We need to catch him saying something incriminating, ideally admitting to the theft, or threatening you, something that makes the prosecutor's job easy. I can do that. Robert, don't be a hero. If things get dangerous, you walk away. Understood?" "Understood." But as I hung up and stared at the security footage of Trevor circling my house like a predator, I knew things were already dangerous. The question was, how dangerous were they about to get? At 8 a.m., Sarah texted, "Lunch at 1 p.m., Cafe Meridian downtown. Trevor and I want to talk about getting you some help." I texted back, "Perfect. See you there." Then I called Diana. "It's happening. Today, 1 p.m. I'll have you wired by noon. Meet me at my office." At 11:30, I drove to Diana's office. She fitted me with a tiny microphone, virtually invisible, clipped inside my shirt collar. She showed me how to activate it with a subtle gesture. "This records everything within 20 feet, crystal clear audio. It's admissible in court. Just act natural, ask questions, let Trevor talk. Liars love to talk. They think they're convincing you." I know, I've done this before. Not with family. It's different when it's personal. She was right. As I drove to Cafe Meridian, my stomach churned. I was about to sit across from my daughter and deliberately manipulate the conversation to incriminate her husband. The husband who'd stolen from me, yes. But still, it felt like crossing a line. Then I remembered, Trevor had already crossed that line. When he installed that keylogger, when he stole $85,000, when he called me senile to loan sharks. I parked and activated the recording device. Time to end this. So far, Robert discovered Trevor's massive gambling debts and loan shark problems. The private investigator revealed Trevor had been systematically stealing and was now planning to have Robert declared incompetent. Last night, Trevor was caught on security cameras casing Robert's house. Now, Robert is wired with a hidden microphone and heading into a lunch meeting where he plans to get Trevor to incriminate himself. The final confrontation is about to begin. Cafe Meridian was busy with the lunch crowd. Business people, tourists, university students, bright and public, safe. I spotted Sarah and Trevor at a corner table. Sarah waved, smiling nervously. Trevor's expression was harder to read. I walked over, my hand instinctively touching my collar where the microphone was hidden. The device was recording. Diana was listening from a van 2 blocks away. Detective Yates was on standby. "Dad?" Sarah stood and hugged me. She held on a little longer than usual. "Thanks for coming." "Of course." I sat down across from them. "I've been thinking about what you said, about getting help." Trevor leaned forward, his expression carefully sympathetic. "Robert, we're glad you're being open-minded about this. It takes courage to admit when something's wrong." I nodded slowly, playing the part. "I've been confused lately. The thing with the bank account. Maybe I did make those transfers. I honestly can't remember." Sarah reached across the table and squeezed my hand. "Dad, it's okay. Memory issues are normal at your age. There's no shame in it." "There are excellent facilities," Trevor said smoothly. "Places where you can get proper care, where professionals can help manage your finances, your health, everything. We've been looking into options." "Facilities?" I kept my voice uncertain. "You mean like assisted living?" "Something like that," Trevor said. "Just until we get you stabilized. Figure out what's going on cognitively. And in the meantime," Sarah added, "Trevor and I could help with your accounts, make sure bills get paid, that kind of thing. We'd need power of attorney, obviously, but power of attorney." I let the words hang there. "That's a big step." "It's temporary," Trevor said quickly. "Just until you're better. We only want to help, Robert. You know that." I looked at him across the table, at those calculating eyes, at that practiced expression of concern, and I decided to push. "Trevor, I need to ask you something, and I need you to be honest with me." His smile faltered slightly. "Of course. Did you take money from my account?" The table went silent. Sarah's face went pale. Trevor's jaw tightened, then relaxed into a laugh. Robert, we've been through this. I would never, because if you did, I'd understand. If you were in trouble, if you needed help, I'd rather you just told me than... I trailed off, playing confused and emotional. Trevor's eyes narrowed. He was trying to figure out if this was a trap or an opportunity. Are you saying you'd be willing to help? If I admitted something? There it was, the opening. I'm saying I want the truth. Whatever it is. He glanced at Sarah. She was staring at him with an expression I couldn't quite read. He took a breath, and I saw him make a decision. He was going to try to manipulate this into an admission with justification. Classic criminal mistake. Okay, he said quietly. Okay, you want the truth? Yes. I accessed your account. But Robert, you have to understand, I was desperate. I had some business debts, some investments that went wrong. I was going to pay it back, every penny. I just needed time. My heart was pounding, but I kept my expression neutral. How much? The transfers you saw. About $85,000. He leaned forward. But I have a plan to pay you back. That's why we need the power of attorney. I can use your credit, take out a loan, fix everything. Then we'll put the money back and no one needs to know. Sarah's voice was barely a whisper. Trevor, what are you saying? I'm saying I borrowed money from your dad. That's all. It's not stealing if I'm paying it back. But you didn't ask him, Sarah said, her voice getting stronger. You took it without asking. That's theft. It's family money. We're all family. Trevor's voice was getting defensive now. Your dad has plenty. He doesn't even need it all. And when we get power of attorney, we can manage everything better, make better investments, grow the money. Grow the money, I said quietly, or pay off your gambling debts? Trevor froze. What? I know about the casinos, Trevor. Black Creek, the online poker, the $127,000 you owe to Marcus Delgado. His face went from confused to enraged in an instant. You've been investigating me. You paranoid old... He caught himself, but too late. Sarah was standing now, her chair scraping back. You've been gambling. You told me those were business expenses. Sarah, calm down. How much do you owe? Her voice carried across the cafe. People were staring. It's under control. How much? Over 100,000, okay? Trevor stood too, his voice rising. And I had a way to fix it until your father decided to freeze everything. Do you know what these people do when you don't pay? Do you have any idea? So you stole from my father. Sarah was crying now. You put malware on his computer. You tried to have him declared incompetent so you could steal more. I was protecting us. Protecting you. Trevor grabbed her arm. If I don't pay Delgado, they'll come after me. After us. After everything we've built. Your father was the solution. I stood up, my voice cold and level. Get your hand off my daughter. Trevor looked at me, and for the first time, I saw real fear in his eyes. He just realized what he'd admitted, and where he'd admitted it. This conversation is being recorded, I said quietly. Every word. The police are listening right now. It's over, Trevor. His face went white. You set me up. No, I gave you a chance to tell the truth. You chose to confess to theft, fraud, and computer crimes. That was your choice. Trevor's expression shifted from fear to rage. He lunged across the table at me, fist raised, but I'd been in dangerous situations before. I stepped back, grabbed his extended arm, and used his momentum to send him stumbling past me into an empty table. The cafe erupted in chaos, people shouting, chairs falling, and through the front door came Detective Yates and 2 uniformed officers. Trevor Matheson, Yates said, her voice carrying authority. You're under arrest for theft, computer fraud and abuse, and elder financial abuse. You have the right to remain silent. Trevor was screaming as they cuffed him, screaming that I was a liar, that I'd trapped him, that this wasn't fair. Sarah stood frozen, tears streaming down her face, watching her husband be dragged out of the cafe. Then she turned to me. Dad, I didn't know. I swear I didn't know about the gambling, the theft, any of it. I pulled her into a hug. She sobbed against my shoulder. I know, sweetheart. I know. I'm so sorry. For everything. for not believing you, for shh. It's okay. It's over now. Detective Yates approached us. Mr. Harrison, we're going to need you to come down to the station. Give a full statement. We have the recording, but we need your testimony. Of course, she looked at Sarah. Ma'am, I'm going to need to speak with you as well. You're not under arrest, but we need to understand what you knew and when. Sarah nodded, wiping her eyes. I'll tell you everything. I want to help. At the police station, I spent 3 hours going through everything. Diana joined me, bringing all her evidence, the financial records, the surveillance footage of Trevor casing my house, the keylogger analysis, everything. By the time we finished, Detective Yates was satisfied. This is one of the strongest cases I've worked, she said. Between your recording, the digital forensics, and the paper trail, the prosecutor can move fast. Trevor's looking at multiple felony charges. He'll go to prison. Good. Mr. Harrison, I have to ask, are you okay? This has been a lot. I thought about that question. Was I okay? My son-in-law had betrayed me. My daughter's marriage was destroyed. My retirement savings were stolen. But I'd fought back. I'd won. I'm okay, I said. I'm going to be okay. Sarah and I left the station together. We sat in my car in the parking lot for a long time, neither of us saying anything. Finally, she spoke. I'm leaving him. Obviously, I'm filing for divorce. I support whatever decision you make. I believed him, Dad, when he said you were confused, when he said we needed to help you. I actually considered signing those power of attorney papers. Her voice broke. What kind of daughter does that make me? It makes you human. Trevor's a skilled manipulator. That's what he does. But you saw through him. I had training and distance. You loved him. Love makes us blind sometimes. She turned to me. Can you forgive me? Sarah, there's nothing to forgive. You didn't steal from me. You didn't lie to me. Trevor did all that. But I didn't believe you when you told me. You believe me now. That's what matters. We sat there as the sun set, father and daughter beginning to heal. Over the next 3 months, I watched justice unfold. Trevor was charged with 14 felonies: theft, computer fraud and abuse, financial exploitation of an at-risk adult, attempted fraud, identity theft, and several others. The evidence was overwhelming. His public defender tried to negotiate a plea deal. The prosecutor offered 7 years. Trevor refused, demanding a trial. Huge mistake. At trial, the evidence was devastating. Diana testified about the gambling debts and loan shark connections. Detective Yates presented the security footage of Trevor casing my house. The bank's forensic accountant walked through every stolen transaction, and then they played the recording from Cafe Meridian. The jury heard Trevor admit everything, heard him justify stealing from me, heard him try to manipulate Sarah into getting power of attorney so he could steal more. The jury deliberated for 90 minutes. Guilty on all counts. At sentencing, the judge was harsh. Mr. Matheson, you targeted a 77-year-old man. I didn't correct her. The age error was in the court documents and didn't matter. Who had welcomed you into his family? You installed malware on his computer. You stole his retirement savings. You attempted to have him declared incompetent so you could steal more. And you showed no remorse. In fact, you showed contempt for your victim and for this court. I sentence you to 12 years in state prison, followed by 5 years of supervised probation. You will also pay full restitution of $85,153, plus interest and court costs. Trevor's face went gray. 12 years. He'd be almost 50 when he got out. Sarah filed for divorce 2 weeks later. It was uncontested. Trevor had nothing to fight with. No money, no freedom, no leverage. As for my money, the court ordered restitution, but frozen assets only covered $23,000. The rest, Trevor had gambled away. I'd likely never see all of it, but I'd recovered enough to stabilize, and more importantly, I'd stopped him from taking more. Marcus Delgado never contacted me again. According to Diana's sources, he wrote off Trevor's debt as a loss and moved on. Some debts you just can't collect. 6 months after Trevor's sentencing, Sarah came to my house for dinner. It was the first time we'd done this since before everything happened. We cooked together, Linda's old spaghetti carbonara recipe. We talked, we laughed, we cried a little. I'm seeing a therapist, Sarah told me as we ate, working through everything, the betrayal, the guilt, all of it. That's good. How's it going? Hard, but necessary. She paused. She asked me what I learned from all this, and you know what I realized? I learned that the people who really love you don't make you doubt yourself. They don't isolate you or make you feel crazy. Trevor spent 2 years making me question reality, making me think you were the problem. That's called gaslighting. It's a classic manipulation tactic. I know that now, but in the moment, I fell for it completely. She looked at me. How did you stay so clear? How did you know? Training helped, but honestly, I think it was Linda. She taught me to trust my instincts, to document everything, to believe in facts over feelings. I smiled. And I had good friends. Paul, Diana, they backed me up when I needed it. I'm sorry I wasn't one of those people backing you up. You were confused, manipulated. But in the end, when you saw the truth, you stood with me. That's what matters. We finished dinner, cleaned up together, and as Sarah was leaving, she hugged me tight. I love you, Dad. Thank you for fighting. Thank you for not giving up on me. Never, sweetheart. Never. A year after everything ended, I was doing well. My retirement account had partially recovered. I'd downsized to a smaller house, didn't need all that space anymore, and invested the difference wisely. Sarah and I had dinner every week. She was dating someone new, a teacher named Marcus who seemed genuinely kind. I liked him. I had also started volunteering, teaching cybersecurity awareness to seniors at the community center, helping people protect themselves from scams, fraud, identity theft. The classes were always full. Turned out a lot of elderly people were targets. The key, I told one class, is documentation. Keep records, take screenshots, trust your instincts, and if something feels wrong, it probably is. An older woman raised her hand. But what if it's family? What if your own son or daughter is the one stealing? The room got quiet. Everyone was looking at me. Then it's even more important to act, I said firmly. Family doesn't mean you accept abuse. Blood doesn't give someone the right to exploit you. And loving someone doesn't mean letting them destroy you. I paused. You taught your children to be good people. If they choose to become bad people, that's their choice, not your failure. And you have every right to protect yourself. The room erupted in applause. After class, several people came up to thank me, to share their own stories. Daughters who'd stolen credit cards, sons who'd forged checks, grandchildren who'd emptied bank accounts. The stories were heartbreaking but familiar. What did you do, one man asked me, when you discovered the theft? I built a case. I gathered evidence. I went to the police, and I prosecuted. I looked at him steadily. I didn't let family obligation make me a victim. Neither should you. He nodded slowly. Thank you. I needed to hear that. As I drove home that evening, I thought about how much had changed. A year ago, I'd been sitting in my office, staring at a depleted bank account, feeling betrayed and alone. Now, I was teaching others, helping people, making a difference. Trevor was in prison. He'd write occasionally, letters full of apologies and justifications. I never responded. Sarah had asked if I'd forgive him someday. Maybe, I'd told her. But forgiveness doesn't mean relationship. He can be sorry, and I can acknowledge that, but I never need to speak to him again. That's my choice. That seems harsh. He stole $85,000 from me, Sarah. He tried to have me declared incompetent. He installed malware on my computer and sold my personal information to loan sharks. Harsh would be him not getting to apologize at all. I'm being more than fair. She'd thought about that. You're right. You're being generous, actually. On my 68th birthday, Sarah threw me a small party. Just a few people. Paul and his wife Diana, Detective Yates, Sarah, and her boyfriend Marcus. We sat on my new deck watching the sunset over the mountains, eating cake and telling stories. Remember when Trevor thought he was smarter than an FBI-trained cybersecurity expert? Paul laughed. That was his first mistake. His second mistake was thinking age makes you weak, Diana added. Robert's sharper than people half his age. His biggest mistake, I said quietly, was thinking I'd just take it, that I'd accept being a victim because I was old, because he was family, because it was easier than fighting. The table went quiet. But here's what I learned through all this, I continued. Being older doesn't make you weak. It makes you experienced. It gives you perspective. It teaches you what really matters. I looked around at these people, friends, allies, my daughter. What matters is standing up. What matters is refusing to be diminished. What matters is fighting for yourself, even when the people you love are the ones hurting you. Amen to that. Detective Yates raised her glass. We toasted. To justice, to resilience, to surviving betrayal and coming out stronger. Later, after everyone had left, Sarah and I sat alone on the deck. Dad, can I ask you something? Always. Do you regret it? Prosecuting Trevor? Destroying my marriage? I thought carefully about my answer. I regret that he put us in that position. I regret that you had to go through that pain. But do I regret standing up for myself? Never. Even knowing it hurt me? Sarah, him stealing from me hurt you. Him lying to you hurt you. Him manipulating you hurt you. I just exposed it. Would you rather have lived in that lie forever, never knowing who you married? She was quiet for a long time. Then, no. You're right. It hurt, but it was necessary. Like surgery. Painful, but life-saving. Exactly. She leaned her head on my shoulder. I'm proud of you, Dad. For being strong. For fighting back. You're my hero. My throat tightened. You're mine too. You faced a terrible truth and chose to believe it. That took courage. We sat there as the stars came out, father and daughter, survivors. Now, 18 months after everything ended, I can say with certainty, I'm okay. Better than okay. I'm free. Free from Trevor's manipulation. Free from wondering if my family loved me or just my money. Free from being treated like I was too old, too confused, too irrelevant to matter. I'm 68 years old. I'm not too old for anything. I teach classes, I help people, I spend time with my daughter, I'm even dating someone. A woman named Patricia I met at the community center. She's sharp, funny, and completely unimpressed by men who think age determines worth. I like that you stood up for yourself, she told me on our third date. Too many people our age think they're supposed to just accept whatever their families do. That it's noble to be a martyr. But it's not. It's just sad. Exactly. You're not sad, Robert Harrison. You're a fighter. So are you, Patricia Walsh. We toasted to that. If you're reading this story or listening to it and you're in a similar situation, let me tell you something important. You deserve respect. You deserve honesty. You deserve to be treated with dignity, regardless of your age. If someone in your life is stealing from you, lying to you, or trying to make you doubt your own mind, that's abuse. Full stop. It doesn't matter if they're family. It doesn't matter if they claim they love you. It doesn't matter if they say it's for your own good. Abuse is abuse, and you have the right, the obligation to protect yourself. Here's what I learned. Document everything. Keep records, take screenshots, save emails. If your instincts say something's wrong, trust them. You're not paranoid, you're not confused, you're perceptive. Get professional help. Private investigators, lawyers, police, they exist for a reason. Use them. Don't try to handle financial crimes alone. Set boundaries. Family doesn't mean unlimited access to your money, your time, or your life. You're allowed to say no. You're allowed to protect yourself. And finally, it's never too late. I was 67 when I stood up to Trevor. I could have been 77 or 87. Age doesn't diminish your right to justice. Blood doesn't mean family. Love means family. Respect means family. Trust means family. And anyone who violates those things doesn't deserve the title. I'm Robert Harrison. I'm 68 years old. I'm a retired electrical engineer and cybersecurity consultant. I taught FBI agents for 15 years. I lost my wife to cancer. I almost lost my retirement to theft. But I fought back. And I won. That's my story. What's yours? Have you faced something similar? Are you facing it now? Let me know in the comments where you're listening from. You're not alone. There's a whole community of us. People who refused to be victims. People who stood up. People who survived. And if you're still in the middle of it, still fighting, still gathering evidence, still building your case, keep going. You're stronger than you think, smarter than they assume, and you deserve justice. Never forget that. You deserve justice.